Hey everyone, welcome back to Pro Tools 101 lessons here at Educator.com. This is lesson 11, selecting and navigating. In this lesson, we will learn about universe window, timeline and edit selections, tab to transients, zoom controls, and working with markers in our sessions. Understanding selection and navigation techniques can really improve your efficiency in working with Pro Tools. Before talking anything further, we're going to go ahead and hear this track I have called Lembrança. This is a Portuguese word for remembrance. And listen a couple of sections here. I'm going to start the session on the third bar. It's a 3/4 tunes with the transitions of the other sections. We're just going to be hearing about a minute long. This is a working track for my new record that I did a lot of MIDI and some audio at home that will be performed by the real musicians later on when I take it to the studio. I have my chords on a nylon string guitar, and arrangement point of view, piano is keeping the same notes in the 3/4 signature. 1, 2, 3. Main rulers, bars and beats, and minutes and seconds my sub ruler. Let's zoom out now our session. So we heard a little bit. There's a little hint here. If we have a little bit clipping, of course we have to work on those, but there is a way to click and make them go away, or we can option C to make the clippings go away. Just one little trick. I'm sure I'll mention somewhere else this one. Okay, so we heard this track. It's kind of like a 3/4 samba. It's like a kind of Brazilian rhythm to it. And as you see, I have certain performances here. It's a working track, and if I want to keep everything this medium size, you see I need to scroll up and down to see my tracks. But there are a couple of other ways to navigate where we are in Pro Tools edit window. One of these is using the universe view. Basically, Pro Tools provides a universe view that can be top of the edit window right here. It displays an overview of your entire session, providing a mini representation of all video, audio, or MIDI material of your tracks. A single horizontal line in the universe view represents each track with the same color as the clips on the track in the timeline. Since auxiliary master fader and VCA tracks, which is in the HD, these type of VCA tracks, do not contain any audio, they are represented as blank areas in the universe window. If you go to our universe window, like right here at the top, and I would like to bring it closer again, at the top I have my auxiliary track, and you see it's kind of a gray there. Or if I don't have any kind of region or clips, as we call them right now, they are blank. But what we can do, we have this white thing here, you see, and this has a name that we call current view indicator. This white rectangular frame in this universe window or universe view represent the area of the session that is displayed in the edit window. We can click and scroll through it to do horizontal and vertical moves here. So let's go and focus on an area. As I zoom in, you see my universe window right here is very small. I can hold it, click drag horizontally, vertically, and wherever that I want to go. There can be any easy navigation that if I wanted to see something, since I have markers on my session, I'm on the first verse, but I would just want to go like to the end of the song. So universe really helping me navigating where I want to go. And as I zoom in, it gets smaller because that shows what I'm seeing is a little representation of what I really see on my edit window. Of course, I use one of these mouse with the trackball and I have a scrolling ring on the mouse. If I go on the edit window on any of my clips, let's say, and scroll down, you'll see universe window still continue to represent where I am. So or if I do any zoom in out with the command focus keys R and T, anything like right here with these zooms. Basically, that's one way to navigate. How do we get to the universe view? There's a couple of ways. We go under view, other display. You'll find a menu here, not only the universe, but track list, clip list, and media editor. This is exactly the same menu can be found under this drop down menu, and as you see, universe is checked. We can actually get rid of it if it's not our style of navigating, but we can bring it back with this arrow here. We can make it go away by double clicking or come back double clicking. There's many ways to get there. Since we just talked about it, let universe view stay up there. It can be over there at the moment. We'll talk about types of selection now. Often we make selections on our sessions in Pro Tools, and Pro Tools provides two types of selections: timeline selection and edit selections. Timeline of selections, basically with any tool selected, if we move our pointer over time-based ruler or click drag any desired area on the edit window with the selector tool, we can make these selections. Let's just go ahead and talk about timeline selections that we do on the rulers. Basically, I have selector selected right now. You know, one way to get to the selectors or other edit tools are F6 for trimmer, F7 for selector, and F8 for grabber. If I choose any of these two, I get the smart tool, but it has to be F6, F7, F7, F8, or three of them at the same time. And we have the smart tool that we can actually use them all. At this point, whatever is selected, let's say differently, like a scrubber than selector, on the clips we have the scrubber, but as soon as we go to the ruler area, we have selector at the moment. So basically this helps us to get to a point in our session 97. I selected 121. If I press return, it's number 1. I have markers for verse 25. We can get to there, but we can also make a selection too. Let's say I want to select the pre-chorus. Select from here. It's basically telling me 45. It starts, ends on 53, and the length is 8 bars. I can go to 25, and I can go right here at this point and shift click the time-based rulers. It's selected again. This is the length of my verse. Start on 25 and on 45 right here in the main counter, and this is 20 bars. Another way to make selections actually would be on the timeline selection fields as we're just talking about it. You can just like click here to go to a certain place, bar 8, press enter, we are there, press on space bar. But we can also go specific bars and beats too. Let's say I wanted to go to the verse, which I know is the 25th, but I wanted to go to a specific bar. How do I do it? Go click here, or better yet, press on star key, asterisk as we call, type 25 on the numeric keypad, period is right there, press on period, and let's say beat 3, and if I want to select the frame, I'll go there to, let's say, 56, and if I press return, so I start from there right now. That's one way to select things. And if I wanted to select an area, let's say I wanted to go here, I can write 25, and I can also click here to choose 45 and press return. I select my verse again, pretty much. But of course the information here, this 56 is selected, so we need to probably get rid of that. So let's go select another point to get rid of that, 17. So I'm starting at 17. How I did that? Again, I use the star asterisk key to select the first number. This comes very handy when you work with time codes, feet frames, and so forth. At this point, I'd like to go make a selection, and however I brought these numbers by star key, there's a way to get here too, which is actually gonna be slash key. I go to slash key right here. I need to get out of this one first of all. Let's just completely get out of that. If I go to this slash key, and let's get out of this one. Go to the slash, or let's select this one, 25 and slash 45. I select my verse again. If I was to select my pre-chorus here, let's say starting from 45 to 53, I go slash 45 slash 53, and my pre-chorus is selected. Again, the length here is 8 bars. You can do these changes on your transport window as well. If I press on slash, I will go there, but if I do any selection here, play from there, get out of there basically, and then you can make like certain selections over there as well. Having said that, we're going to go and talk about selecting with timeline selection in and out points. With any tool that we can make a selection on the main time-based ruler, we can also extend it by one of these in and out points. In other words, if I have a selected area, let's go by the slash again, 25 slash 45, reselect my verse. If I go one of the arrows, which is timeline selection out point, we can bring it to bar 53. Now my pre-chorus involved. We work in a certain area. Now in point can come to a certain bar. So that's another way to select basically and extend or shrink our selected area. We can also edit selections. We have our edit selections. When we're working with audio or MIDI data on Pro Tools, we can select clips by grabber tool or make selection by selector tool. That's right. We can go on the clips. Now we're on the edit window and we're not no longer on our main ruler area. We can go select a clip with the selector, or we can go select the whole clip by grabber, and then we can make certain selections there. Of course, there is smart tool becomes very handy on this situation, because I can go select. If I go bottom of the clip, I could select. If I go in the middle, I have the selector tool. There you go. And on the corner, I have the trimmers that I could trim. Let's skip this one at the moment. And you could apply for the MIDI data or instrument tracks as well. And another thing that I have here, actually, it's my crossfade. So if I want to do any crossfade, let's go to slip mode. And if I want to do a crossfade there, skip that again, just an example. And under Smart Tool, basically, we can use as trimmer, we can use at the same time selector, grabber, and we have the crossfade box appears. Next thing we're going to talk about, selecting with edit selection fields. And this is basically what we mainly talk about, grabbing the number. We could do it here or on the transport bar that we can also select. We can select by pressing slash, and that will select the area. And we could go to the next one by period. There is one more window, actually, we could do that. Besides, that's under window, we have a big counter. We can also make selections on the big counter too. Basically, you can go to the bar, beats, and if you go to the period, you can select and you can write certain information. Big counter, we get to actually make as big as we want. We can resize the big counter. This is a very handy tool that you could use sometimes in your sessions, especially if you want some of the people contributing on a track needs to follow up where the session is at the moment of recording, playing back. Big counter is a good way to go sometimes. As you see, it is big, and that you can choose, of course, by drop down arrow there, how to decide your main ruler. Command numeric 3 will give us where we are basically in the session. Now we're going to talk about something slightly different, creating and separating timeline selections and edit selections. The default setting in Pro Tools links the timeline and edit selections together. You can separate those by clicking on the icon of timeline edit toggle button. In this way, we can play the session and edit completely different areas in the session. So basically what we're talking about, let's go to the grid mode again, and let's talk about right here, this little icon. Link timeline and edit selection, it says. Basically, it does what it says. It links the timeline and edit selection. As you know, we have a playback cursor move along to show us when we're recording and playing back our session. But we also have an edit cursor telling us where we're starting the session. So with this icon, if we link them, basically what happens, if I start with my verse at the bar 25 here, and if I wanted to edit an area right here, now I'm starting on 45, but I wanted to kind of hear here, or there, select something here, and no matter what I do, I cannot start from the area. So in other words, I make a selection and Pro Tools starts playing back because timeline and edit selections are linked together. And by default, it is like that. So if we default it by just clicking on it, now we have a different kind of story going on. Select another area, and we can replay. It always goes back to cut this area. If I want to replay, I can do that. Let's say I fix that area. Now I need to hear from 45. Start 45. As you see, it's doing on this transport right now. Start on 45. You can play from there. Maybe I'll go to this region. Here. And as you see, I completely I completely separate those at the moment. So it gives me an advantage of working with the area completely different than playing back area. So that's a cool thing to know. And another thing I'd like to point out, if you're making any kind of selections, you see these yellow icons appear, as you see on the icon 2 here. That shows the edit selection at the moment, but I'm already starting my playing back, my edit cursor somewhere else, so a very nice way to separate. But let's link these again. As soon as I link was playing before, everything linked. Another one that we have here is enabling link, track, and edit selection. We can link the track edit selection basically, and in this way we can select areas which previously selected on other tracks by just shift clicking the track nameplate or the clips. Let me see what's going on here. So basically, let's go option click the nameplate here, and at the moment I'd like to also just get one tool. My selector is kind of cool. I want to select something, and I select this string track and I make a selection. As you see, it stays there, and I can make different selection. I can make multiple selections anywhere anyways, but nothing gets selected as far as the track because they are unlinked. If I go to the icon and link the track and edit selection, then whatever changes I make, any selections I make on my clips, automatically my click is selected. As you see right here, tracks are changing. I go make a selection and they are changing. Another cool thing that I can do, I can select an area. Let's say select this area here, my verse. If I go shift click on this clip, I select the same area on another track. Shift click on the nameplate right here, and we can continue doing it just by shift clicking. Another cool trick to know. This is because right here my track selection actually right now linked with the edit selection. That's the reason. So let's uncheck that one. Next thing that we're going to be talking about is using our tab key. While working in a track, we can use the tab key to move the cursor to clip boundaries on the track playlist. If enabled, then we can use tab key to go to the next transient option, tab to the previous. Option tab basically take us before, and tabbing going basically to the next transit. What we do with the tab basically, let me go and put my cursor here, or just *9, and I'm right here. Make it a little bit small. If I go with the tab key, as you see my edit cursor right now move to the next editing area. I keep on tabbing to go to the next edited area, or I can option tab to come back. Follow my arrow, tab and option tab. That works with the audio well too. We can go to the audio and we can tab. You see there are some edit points, or if I want to come back, option tab, and I can actually come back. This, if you're a Microsoft and Windows user, Control Tab will do the same function as Option does, so you can come back tabbing. Next option we're going to talk about is Tap to Transient. Tap to Transient points is actually a very cool feature. This function is very useful to find an initial peak or modulation in an audio waveform. Basically, let's make this one of them large. That can be very, very cool tool, and we'll be using this a lot. So first thing, of course, for tap to transient, again, we need to enable something. As you see, this is tap to transients. You saw how it behaved without it. So it was going to the next editing area, or if I have clip groups, it goes beginning of the clip groups. However, at this point on this waveform, it's going to behave differently. If I tab now, it goes to the next peak point. That's very cool because when we see on, let's make the audio a little bit bigger too. We can do the waveform, and then you can see an option tabbing. Actually, you can come back. This is really cool if you know an area. Let's say like start from the beginning again, tap, 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 and that's your big point, and you need to do an editing, and that's just going to be mainly what you're hearing, and you need to go with the time. Tap to transit is really a way to go. You can basically shift tab right here to select, shift tab, and let's say this area. Then you can listen, you can cut, and then continue with that. I did it, of course, under slip, which we get to F2. Then you can go back to the grid with F4, but if it's like not on the grid, go to the slip by either option 2 or F2. Option 2 or F2 will get you there. Then if the tap to transit selected, you can keep tabbing. Or if you want to start the last one, you can hold down the shift and option and then tabbing, then you can come back, whatever your point is. So this is a really great way to select an area, especially if they are not on exactly in time and not on the grid. So you can find by the peak point instead of guessing, because tap to transit really helps you to find those peak points for beginning and the ending points. Let's talk about adjusting our session view. Pro Tools enables you to customize many aspects of your display. We can adjust by dragging in between the tracks or manually choose one of the size options by clicking on the ruler in between. We can get the same options by right-clicking too. Definitely, we can always go and customize our displays, and we can basically dragging the tracks. There's a bunch of customizing options that you can actually work with, or you can use the options on the right click. Let's bring everything here, option, clicking this area to small so we can see our session a little bit better. If you basically just drag the tracks in the different places, that you can bring those. These are basically something that we cannot undo, so you have to redo it again if you don't like the way they look. But that's one way to customize, adjusting our session view. And as we talked about, certain screens, if you want, like the universe, if you want the clip list, you can get here. If you want the track list, you can get here. Whatever is important for your session at this point. If you want your MIDI, that arrow will help. And there are many ways to organize your session view the way that you want to organize. Basically, we can go back to this arrow to close. You can also resize the track view. You can resize the clip however big you want. This is a little bit up to you to how to work on your, you can get to MIDI editor from here to as we get to here. So basically we're gonna have to organize our own real estate depending on how we work, how big of a monitor display that we're using, but there's a bunch of ways to do that. Then we have our zoom buttons here. You can do a zoom in and out, although a lot of people using R to zoom out, T to zoom in, as long as your keyboard focus, command focus mode is active for your edit screen. Then we have audio zoom in and out button right here. We kind of used it before for the audio. They get bigger or smaller. Then for the MIDI, let's open one MIDI right here. Look at my MIDI notes, and especially if I bring this under notes, there's one way we can adjust it here and make it a little bit bigger, bring it so we can see. These are for the MIDI notes. They can get larger or smaller. You can make that adjustment here for the MIDI. So that's for the audio. Basically, audio zoom in and out button, and right next to it is basically MIDI zoom in. And these are our horizontal zoom in, basically. Another thing that I like to talk about is, let's right click here. I highly recommend it. If you have a MIDI keyboard, sometimes the click doesn't get it. That's why I use the right click to get the size. Everything's small right now. Go in the beginning of the session and go to grid 2. So that's how we're working, let's say, at the moment. There's another cool option as far as the zooming is the storing and recalling zoom presets. We can set up and save different zooming options up to 5 presets by clicking and holding the numbers on the zoom area. And those also can be changed with the alpha in alpha keyboard. I'm gonna show you what we do here. As you see these zoom numbers, we can store certain zooming option in our session. Let's say we want to focus on the intro a little bit. We go under number 1, hold down, and save zoom preset. You see that will be blinking a couple times. Then change it to make it like a larger that you could see most of your session. Let's say go to 2 and save this zoom preset. And the next one, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a very like little one. I'm not gonna give examples of all 5, but these are all saved. Now on your keyboard, if you go on 1, whatever you save is there, and number 2 is the second look, and number 3 is the third look. Of course, you can change here as well, but on alpha keyboard that you have 1, 2, and 3 will work. As a matter of fact, numeric keyboard is not working at the moment. So I press 3, of course it won't work because 3 on the numeric keypad will be for the recording. So they have to be on the alpha keyboard, not on the numeric keypad. But it's a cool way to zoom in some ways. If you have a tune that you need really like up to 4 or 5 different zooming thing, and would be really great to get to the certain area without like trying other zooms. Even that kind of can be, I really like R and T to zoom in and out in Pro Tools sessions, but in a specific session you may need to store some of these as well. You just choose the zooming option and split in between these 5 different views that you can store. Next thing we're going to talk about is the adding markers to our session. It is very important to add and color the markers. The way we do it is very, very simple. We can go choose a certain point, let's say 17, and go to this plus sign under marker, and we just basically add a marker. By default, they would always appear in Pro Tools as a location number. There's a simple way to do that too. Go with the star key. We're moving a little bit better now. You can just like click after selecting a certain point, just like press enter. Simple way to do that. So location 10. You can do it on the fly too. If I was listening to my track, you can keep on pressing enter key as you're listening to that. Would work too if it's something that you want to do. Then to be able to get rid of that, there's a couple of ways. You can definitely option click, or you can just like hold a marker and bring it down. That turns into a trash can, and boom, that's gone. Also, we can see our memory locations under Windows, right here under Window menu. We're still on Mac, I know. This is our memory location, so you can actually enlarge this or shrink it. So I actually see with the numbers which ones I actually choose as far as the locations. Apparently I didn't start with the verse, then I have the chorus. Of course, you can select under memory locations and go to this drop down menu to either edit or delete, which clearing the chorus, whatever you named it, or delete all. All these options are possible there with the memory locations. Command 5, numeric 5, is a way to get there easily. And you can clear the marker there as well. If you wanted to color your marker, basically what you need to do is you need to check under preferences that your markers under color coding, preferences display, under color coding here, always display marker colors. That should be checked. Otherwise, if I decheck that one, that means that will go to the default color of the ruler. Basically, I'll still see the markers, but coloring is really helping besides the marker for me to separate certain markers. And again, when you get to the color palette right here, this is your you go under tracks and markers is available. If it wasn't checked really under the preferences, you would see this area also grayed out. So that's why it's important to go preferences, display, and definitely make sure that the marker option always checked in if you want to color your markers. We talked about markers, and last thing I would like to mention is one more addition to the selection. Since we just talked about the marker, you can always select an area in your session by markers too. Let's say talk about this pre-course. If I want to select this, we talked about possibly selecting by selector. That's one thing. Or we can shift click here, set. These are the things that we all talk about it. Or we can go to the numbers we set, right? We can go to the slash and write 45 slash again and 53 as we did before. There's also one other way to do it. As long as you have your markers correctly entered there, you can go to the first marker, just click on this yellow icon for the marker, and your playhead is on the 45. Then you can actually go shift click on the second marker. We can always, we select it, but we can always extend it as we did before by the edit. I have the in and out point of timeline selection, or we can just like bring it, but that's just another cool way to go and shift click the second marker and you select an area. Again, it will show from the beginning and the ending point with the length. This is the last addition to and last information of this class. Hope this was helpful as far as for you to navigate and select things better and faster. Thank you for watching Educator.com.